Welcome to Media Blindspot. This is a show where we break down 3 stories that happened this week that didn't really make it to the front page, but definitely should have. So this week we are looking at 3 cases that reveal a troubling pattern in Australia regarding censorship. Our first story today is the Australian Broadcasting Corporation for pulling down an interview with Palestine advocate Nasser Mashni and wiping it from the internet. Next up we have Australian Tax Office whistleblower Richard Boyle, who was forced to plead guilty after whistleblower protections failed him. And finally, David McBride loses his appeal 1 year after being thrown in jail for whistleblowing on alleged war crimes committed in Afghanistan, while Ben Robert Smith also loses his defamation case appeal against 9 News, based on the overwhelming probability that he committed war crimes in Afghanistan. Only one of these men is in jail. There seems to be a pattern. Whistleblowers are punished, people who speak out are censored, and accountability is avoided at all costs. My name is Josh, and for the West Report, let's get into it. So just a quick house ad, this video is not brought to you by corporate sponsors, it's actually brought to you by you, the viewers, over on Patreon. If you'd like to help us fund this kind of operation and do the investigative journalism that you see on the website, feel free to jump over to patreon.com and support us there. Back to the video. So first up, the ABC deletes Gaza advocate's interview after criticism and pushback. On Monday, the ABC removed a live television interview with Nasser Mashni, president of the Australian Palestine Advocacy Network, just hours after it aired. The interview itself, which was broadcasted on ABC News, featured Mashni responding to the International Court of Justice's ruling that Israel must halt its offensive operation in Rafah. During the segment, he referred to Israel as a rogue, apartheid, genocidal state and criticised Australia's continued weapons trade with Israel.
Australia needs not to be the last country to enact sanctions against this rogue apartheid state.
Now, to clarify, the government currently claims that we do not trade weapons with Israel. But investigations by Michael West Media show that Australian companies are supplying the parts and raw materials used to make those weapons. Bit of a cheeky wordplay there.
Government insists that no weapons have been exported to Israel in the last 5 years.
Well, we don't accept that. We've seen evidence presented by David Shubridge and the Greens, Michael West Media, etc. Earlier on this year, we saw a weapon in the hands of an Israeli minister in Gaza that was manufactured in Queanbeyan.
By the Tuesday morning after the interview, the video had vanished from the ABC's platforms, including social media and the ABC's iView. No official explanation was offered. The ABC has since denied pulling the interview due to political pressure, calling it a routine editorial decision. A statement from the ABC said that the original content was done as a live-to-air interview as part of broader coverage and was not intended to be published as a standalone clip. It was mistakenly uploaded, and when that was noticed, it was taken down. But the timing paired with the broadcaster's history of caving under political scrutiny raises a lot of questions. Whose voices are deemed acceptable in our public discourse, and whose are just simply politically inconvenient? Now, we've seen this kind of censorship in relation to political pressures from lobby groups at the ABC before. For example, Antoinette Lattouf was removed from her on-air role at ABC Radio midway through a 5-day contract. After sharing a Human Rights Watch video about Gaza on her personal Instagram, she was then let go by the ABC. As of time of recording, ABC has not released a direct statement regarding this, but we will keep you updated. Now, it's not just in the media where speaking out has consequences. Unfortunately, it's in government too. Whistleblowers are finding that even when they act in the public interest, the system doesn't always protect them. That's exactly what happened to Richard Boyle. Story number 2 for today is Richard Boyle pleads guilty. Richard Boyle, who has been hailed as a hero for exposing unethical behaviour within the Australian Tax Office, has now pleaded guilty to 4 charges, despite acting in what most would consider the public interest. Boyle had revealed that the ATO was using aggressive garnishing powers to seize funds from taxpayers' bank accounts. In 2018, he blew the whistle under the Public Interest Disclosure Act, the PID, believing it would protect him. And it didn't. Now, in April this year, the South Australian District Court ruled that Boyle's preliminary steps, like secretly recording conversations and printing documents, weren't protected under the PID framework. With multiple more charges still looming overhead and a likely prison sentence ahead, Boyle chose to plead guilty to a reduced set of offences. And this kind of brings into question the message that we are sending to whistleblowers across this country. The reality is that the law that is supposed to protect truth tellers often becomes the weapon used against them. You can check out the full coverage by Rex Patrick on the website, Michael West Media, and if you want to know more about Richard's full story, check it out on the website. Now, unfortunately, Richard Boyle's case isn't isolated. Another whistleblower, David McBride, is facing an even harsher outcome, not for misconduct, but for revealing alleged war crimes committed by Australian forces in Afghanistan. And for our last story, we have David McBride loses his appeal while defence hierarchy buries war crime leaks after jailing the whistleblower. As Richard Boyle faces punishment and Nasser Mashni is silenced, another case lays bare the chasm between accountability and impunity. Documents obtained by Michael West Media reveal that while the Department of Defence was pursuing former military lawyer David McBride with the full force of the law, it quietly shelved an internal investigation into the very war crimes his disclosures had exposed. The internal inquiry into the Afghan files leaks was abandoned, citing resource issues and lack of jurisdiction. Now, McBride had leaked classified documents to the ABC, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, in 2017, which led to the Afghan Files reports and the Brereton Report, which was an investigation that recommended criminal probes into 19 soldiers over 39 alleged unlawful killings in Afghanistan. But while those named in the reports named untouched, McBride is the only one jailed in connection with the scandal. Almost a year ago to this day, in May 2024, McBride was sentenced to 5 years and 8 months in prison. This week, his attempt to appeal that sentence was rejected by the ACT Court of Appeals. McBride had argued that his military oath required him to act in the public interest by exposing war crimes. Unfortunately, the court disagreed, ruling that the oath required him to carry out his duties according to the law and not personal conscience. David will now take his case to the High Court for appeal. His legal team has also called on the Attorney General, Michelle Rowland, to issue a pardon, stating bluntly, "It cannot be a crime to expose a crime." Now, at the same time, last week, Ben Roberts-Smith lost his defamation appeal against 9 News and Nick McKenzie, after the federal court upheld its findings that, on the balance of probabilities, he committed war crimes in Afghanistan. Yet David McBride, the lawyer who exposed those very crimes, is still sitting in jail. The soldier found likely to have committed the unlawful killings just walks free. With the Defence Department's investigation effectively dead and McBride behind bars until at least August 2026, the message is clear. In Australia, exposing war crimes is a greater offence than committing them. Now, if you want to dig deeper into how far this cover-up actually goes and what senior defence officials may have known all along, you can read Stuart McCarthy's full investigation over at the Michael West website, michaelwest.com.au. It's a detailed breakdown of the documents, the timeline, and the accountability gap in the heart of this case. So thank you so much for tuning in. That is this week's episode of Media Blindspot. To everyone who supports us on Patreon or through our website, we want to give a genuine thank you. It's because you guys that we are able to do programs like this and experiment in different formats. Your backing is what keeps this kind of journalism possible. Stories that take time, resources, and persistence to report. We don't have any corporate sponsors, we don't have any government grants like the Media Bargaining Code propping us up, we only have our audience. So if you're not already on board and want to help us keep digging into the stories like these, you can support our work at michaelwest.com.au or join us over on the Patreon. My name is Josh, and for the West Report, thanks for tuning in.